Hello, and welcome to episode 28 of Resilient Events Podcast. My name is Jon Harris. This is Marisa Kelly. And today the topic is generating buzz and pre-event FOMO with our super special guest, Mei King Tsang.
Yes, we came up with this topic. Well, I came up with this topic because someone had reached out to me directly and was asking specifically if we had some insights on our podcast about pre-event marketing and generating buzz. And we've talked about it a lot in different episodes. You know, how to double your online turnout rate. We had a previous episode about that, but we never had an expert come and talk about their expertise. And Mei King and I have been friends for about over 5 years now, which is awesome. And she's really carved a niche out in the event space, specifically for FOMO creators. So I'm happy to have her here. Let me read a little bit about her for the audience who's maybe listening who doesn't know her. Mei King has been a FOMO creator, speaker, trainer, and strategist for over 13 years. As a FOMO creator, she's hired to raise awareness about charitable campaigns and also help sell out conferences across the client's social media platforms. So she's a social media whiz, and she's bridging the gap between social media and PR, which I think a lot of people forget about when they are trying to generate buzz for their conferences. So we're happy to have her here. Thank you, Mei King.
Hello.
Hello.
Surprise, you're here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome on board. Should we jump right into pestering her with questions, Marisa?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah, Mei King, you've been a pioneer in building anticipation for events and products. What is your secret sauce?
What is my secret sauce? I don't know. I have the ability to split my brain into three at an event. So one is for listening. The second part is for typing, and the next part is for listening for the next bit. So whilst I'm typing, I'm constantly sort of churning out this content onto Instagram, onto LinkedIn, onto X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, whichever platform, and doing it for the period of time that is required of me, whether it's an hour for a webinar or a 3-day conference at an in-person event. So I guess the my special sauce comes from my energy to be able to pick out the truly incredible bits that we want to showcase of the event out onto the socials, because as Marisa read just earlier, when it comes to creating that buzz, excitement and FOMO, it really is about bridging the gap between social media and PR. So how can we show the best part of our event out onto the socials for those lurkers who missed the event? We want to show the event in the best possible light so that those lurkers think, oh, I've missed an incredible event, I need to book on to the next one. That's what creating FOMO is all about.
So I was interested there, wondering at first, I was wondering how many tweets you normally do per hour, or how many posts per hour, but I guess it's more about quality. So how do you identify like the content that's actually worth sharing?
Yeah, so well, I think I'm in the unique position in that I'm able to tweet or post on the other platforms, quality and quantity. So on average, I can do about 50 posts an hour, and my personal best is 1,376 tweets over a day and a half conference, and it reached 31 million people, as well as posting onto other platforms as well. But it's about with each post that I put out there, it's about posting something that people will see valuable, but then think, oh, what's the next thing? And you don't want to give everything, because that's the FOMO bit, isn't it? The fear of missing out. And if people missed out because they didn't attend, But if they see enough that they think, this is definitely worth attending, then that's the ultimate aim, the ultimate goal of what you want to do. So I think for any speaker who comes out onto the stage, they will have some incredible points to share, and but sometimes it's about finding that special thing that we want to share. I mean, there will be lots of people who are attending, and they tend to post the same thing, but it's about persisting with continue to listen to the speakers in order to continue to share the other incredible things that they share. So it could be that a speaker has 5 incredible things that they discuss, and they have a story with each thing. So I might share about 2 or 3 of them, because we don't want to reveal everything, because that would be a disservice to the people who did buy the ticket and attend the event.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point about, sharing the key moments. But what I find interesting about what you've created in your business is a lot of people will not focus on this because they just want people to show up to the event, and no longer are events just about that day or that half day. It's a whole experience. Like how are you guiding your attendee from the journey from the first time they see a post to when they possibly buy the ticket for the next time, right? And you're kind of that support system where a lot of people forget about it. Ticket sales are low. It's a week before and they haven't done anything, right? But you're kind of, like you said, bridging the gap between social media and PR and really finding those things. Can you share? I've been lucky to be your friend for years, and I've heard a lot of different campaigns that you've been on. But why don't you share with the audience a memorable campaign that you did, and talk about what makes it special for you?
Well, if we want to sell tickets to an event, we want to share the experience out onto the socials, and so that the people who are sitting on the fence thinking, "Oh, is this event for me?" Well, they want to see something of themselves at that event. So, what better way to do just that than to share content that will really resonate with potential attendees? So, interviewing attendees who've been there in the past, interviewing speakers, sponsors. Why are they coming to the event? What are they going to be speaking about? What are they going to learn? So every event organizer will have people who've been to their events before, or who are big fans of the host. So shining the spotlight on those people who are just as important as the ambassadors, the speakers, and the sponsors. That would really help to then speak to the people who are sitting on the fence. And so by picking out little insights into what they're going to be revealing is really important. Now, when it comes to event organizers, they probably do a lot of pre-FOMO quite well, I would say, but there is a little bit more that they can do, by showing up and explaining what people are going to get on the day. What value are they going to get? What kind of activities are there going to be? Is there networking opportunities? Who are we going to be meeting there? So, I see a lot of event organizers who will post, like a countdown of to their events, which is great, but not enough video content to really showcase, what what attendees are going to get. If so with a lot of the campaigns that I've created pre-FOMO for, doing interviews with speakers and sponsors has resulted in those last minute Marys who buy their tickets at the last minute. It works really, really well. So I would recommend anybody who is running an event, that in the lead to it, certainly in the 2-3 weeks before, show a little bit more. show a little bit more of what's be expected. Remind people what they missed out on last year, but not just a lovely polished video with some background music that shows an insight into what happened last year. Show more. Maybe invite last year's speakers and talk to them. But really, getting that conversation started can really, really help an event to get those last minute sales in. And for event organizers, they spend a lot of time selling an event, and selling those tickets in the lead up to the event, which is what they should do, obviously. But on the day itself, the marketing hasn't stopped, especially if your event is going to be running, every 6 months or every year. The best time to market your next event is actually at this one. So don't forget that missing piece as well, which I see a lot of event organizers miss out on.
Got it. I like that idea of like the event. I think it is that's like the peak of FOMO is right during it, and maybe the day after, right? So making as much use of that as possible. Now, you've been a FOMO creator professional for many years, so I'm sure you've never made a mistake. But could you list out some common mistakes that people do make when trying to generate FOMO?
Yeah, I make lots of mistakes. Don't get me wrong, Jon. I made a lot of mistakes. Hashtag making mistakes. um, the thing a lot of people that people make the mistake of is actually not getting attendees buzzed and excited and giving them incentives to get involved in the conversation as well. So, as I say, when it comes to selling tickets to an event, people want to see a bit of themselves, to see what's in it for them. And so by showing content that's that will resonate with them is what's really, really important. So I think that talking to last year's attendees and getting them involved, not just a testimonial, but the background story, what impact did last year's event make on them in their business or whatever it is you are doing, and why they are coming back, getting those kind of clips, the impact that it's made, the connections that people have made. We really want to hear lots of these stories, and all of these can really help to sell those tickets in the lead up to an event. So communicating with last year's attendees, the people who bought this year's tickets, ask them what kind of things would they like to see this year, and really help them to be part of the decision making process. Even if most of the decisions have already been made, it's still nice to make the attendees feel like they're being involved in some way, and asking them questions will be really, really great. So I think that's what's really important, just to keep people constantly notified about what's going on, and showcasing that on the socials to generate that buzz, that excitement, that FOMO.
Yeah, I think involving the attendees in some way is really key, and there's a lot of different ways we can do that. And actually, it's a great segue to our break. We're going to talk about a tool we use or have used for events. It's called Jabberyak. So I'm going to go ahead and play this segment. We'll be back after this. I'm a Jabberyacker. Are you a Jabberyacker? Yeah,
I am. Hi, Marissa. Thanks for having me.
So happy that you're here today. So I'm going to give a little backstory for those who didn't see the LinkedIn post. I met one of the co-founders at Exhibitor Live a couple months ago, and we were getting into a conversation about his button that had all of his interests. If you have a button, you could show it. The button shows different interests, and it pointed out on his, this is a different one, a team that I am not a fan of, and I'm a huge soccer fan. And I was like, so we started talking about it, and then maybe like 5 minutes into the conversation, that's when we finally talked about our businesses. So it was really cool to kind of bond and banter back and forth about football. And then we got into business. So we kind of formed a a friendship a little bit
Right.
before we're actually talking business. And now we have his peer, Sheeta, here to talk about Jabrack. So why don't you give us some background on this?
So before I even do that, what is your favorite team?
Oh, my team is Arsenal.
Okay, we're Liverpool.
Okay,
Nice.
great,
Nice.
great.
So Jabrack came into the event space. We are an event engagement solution company. What we found was that there was a need for an avenue, it's a tool to help people make that human connection, right? We go to events, you're in educational sessions all day, every day.
Mhm.
But what we're lacking is that ability to connect people, have human connections, contact, talk about personal things, not just work related topics that we're interested in or things related to the job. And that builds a much stronger base and platform for networking. And while we were developing the concept and the solutions around Jabrack, we started realizing we're collecting all this rich data. And, there's so much you could do with this data. So we started working on our data analytics dashboard, which I'm going to show. Is that okay if I demo it for you right
Yeah.
now? I'm going to throw it up
Yes.
there so everyone can see. Okay, there we go.
That's it.
And so what we started doing is pulling together a data analytics dashboard that is a live dashboard. So when a job starts with an event planner or a corporation that we're working with on their upcoming meeting or conference, they get a link to this dashboard. It will show them where their job is standing in terms of how many people are left to finish the job, how many have completed, if the job is in production, how many people did not complete their button or their badge. And when it's closed, everyone gets moved into the closed bin. That's just a status update on the job. So that's not the exciting part. The exciting part for me is it takes the data and it pulls it together. So as a planner, if I'm planning an event, I can see, whoa, I have 14 people who selected cooking. I have 10 who selected foodie. I have, 8 that selected charcuterie. And if I start looking at all this data, what does this mean to me, right? To me, this means I have people who think food is very important to them.
Right.
And in addition, as I start looking through this, I can see what's important to people. I got 10 dog people. I have animal lovers. Oh, maybe a petting, an animal petting, dog petting station would be a great thing with this group of people because
Right.
that's about 25% of them total have selected some sort of animal. And so that could be a great thing for them. And, meditation and yoga is top of mind of these folks as well. So really petting a dog is a form of meditation, decompressing from your educational sessions, right?
Right.
And as you go through, it'll show you the 50 least selected interests. So some of these things that are not that important because only 1 out of 90 people selected them. Okay, that shouldn't be something that let's not do a champagne bar because only one person selected champagne. So
Right.
instead of doing the champagne bar, we have a lot of wine, mixology. So we should focus a little bit more on a different form of alcohol during happy hour. It breaks it down by category. So of the 90 people coming, 21.24% of these people really enjoy culture and arts. 13.9% of them are creative. So maybe if there is a breakout session or a downtime activity that's around something creative, whether it's maybe a guacamole competition or margarita making competition to really engage everybody. And it breaks down a little bit more for you. But then what it does, it takes everything and we feed it through our AI system and it basically spits out for you the persona of the group as a whole. Who are these people coming to your event? It'll give you some last minute tips and tricks to implement at the event. It's great information to give to your speakers so they know how to engage with your audience. It'll tell you the best type of swag and the best exhibitors. What are some of the great learning environments for these folks? So it can help you to craft and kind of produce an event that's a little bit more personalized for the attendees that are coming. And then it gives you an event location analysis. It'll give you the top 10 places or things to do at that area. So let's say you're having a conference in Nashville. It'll take the interests, the personal interests from everyone who's attending that conference, and give you the top 10 places to go, things to check out for this group of people that you could then include in your know before you go to
Right.
personalize it even more. So that's pretty much the dashboard in a nutshell.
That's, I mean, that data, I'm like crafting an idea in my head. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I have 2 questions for the, getting this data. Is there a cutoff date or recommended deadline for gathering this data from your attendees? Or is it set by the planner?
No, ultimately, we have to cut it off at about a week before. Sometimes we can extend that a little bit, just so we can get everything in production, because we
Right.
still have to print the buttons for the
Right.
name badge. But other than that, no. And the sooner we can start on the job and collecting everyone's data, then the sooner the planner has access to the dashboard to
Right.
really utilize the information to personalize their event.
And for the event location analysis and this know before you go, sometimes that's the hardest. It's the easiest and hardest email to
Right.
write, because you're in your head, you know all the detail as a planner, but you
Right.
have to formulate it. So how is that? Is it also AI, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
how
And
how
it takes the ratings too. It takes like
Okay.
Yelp and Google ratings of places. So
Okay.
it won't send you to something that's 2.5 stars or 3 stars. It'll really send you to the top things.
Awesome. Well, that's amazing information. I think
Well,
that
thanks.
I am like crafting an event in my head. If people need to find out more information about this, did they reach out to you via LinkedIn or website? How would they do
Yeah,
that?
they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. They can reach out to Jabberyak on LinkedIn. They can visit us on our website, jabberyak.com, and they can fill out the form, contact us, and someone will respond to them within 24 hours.
Thank you for giving us all the information, and we look forward to seeing more of this jabberyacker. Ooh, that's like a cool thing that I just came
Oh,
up.
right. You can be a
Jabberyacker.
jabberyacker.
Yeah, I'm a jabberyacker. Are you a jabberyacker? Yeah.
I
Uh,
am.
yeah, more of this at all of our events, and obviously making more human connections, which is what we're all about.
Well, thank you, Marissa. I really enjoyed speaking with you today.
Well, I don't know about you, but I can't wait to use that tool. But it does bridge also tools, and I want to ask you this, making what I know you're really fast with tweeting and listening and doing all the things. How do you see AI and technology shaping the future of pre-event FOMO and what you're doing?
There's definitely a lot of scope for that. I mean, sometimes I have pre-created sorry,
It's
can you
okay.
hear that?
Yes,
Can you hear that?
Little.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let
that's
me
okay.
switch cameras. Um, that's a bit embarrassing.
No worries. We are pros. We switch on the fly.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's
So
okay.
yes, AI tools. Yes, so I certainly have in the past created branded templates which I would use to incorporate. So, often when I'm asked to create Instagram stories or Instagram posts, and I do live interviews with speakers and attendees, then I would place them into a template that's already been pre-designed. There is captioning, of course, that you can use. So some tools that I would use in order to make interviews a lot more inclusive. According to Facebook, 85% of videos are watched with the sound off, which is quite interesting. So adding captions to any videos would really help to enhance that experience for people watching with videos off. So AI, I personally haven't used many tools, but I know that there's definitely a lot of scope for that. But certainly using branded templates and things is something that I've done in the past. So
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Yeah.
think that AI could ever replace you making? Could we figure out live, transcribe it, know what's hot, and post it to Twitter all at the same time?
That's exactly right.
No, I don't think. I mean, from my perspective, I still think that they're just tools, right? Like thinking about them as like replacements for us. I don't see that. I used the analogy this past weekend that prior to email, we had to send letters, and like, email is just a tool. It didn't replace our jobs, and there's still people delivering our letters, right? So, um, I think, thinking about that, I just think there's a lot of ways that we can leverage those tools while still having your expertise, specifically for event marketing, pre-marketing. Um, uh,
Yeah,
John,
another question is making like for our viewers, any advice you'd give them if they're like looking to master your arts, following your footsteps?
So I think that making sure that you're really comfortable, believe it or not. So making sure that you're really comfortable and in a position where you can hear the speakers, and ensure that you're not interrupted that much. So that's definitely something that I would recommend. So making sure that you're fully hydrated, you've got plenty of drinks around you. Um, and actually making sure that you've got enough power banks. You don't want your
Yeah.
phone
right?
to run out. So that's something that I definitely, I have about 3 or 4 that I bring with me,
Yes.
but my phone is actually very good as well. But there's definitely things that you can plan ahead for. So, if you have a list of the speakers, and making sure that you've got their social media handles. So depending on which social media platform you're going to be using to post out onto the socials, having that in on your phone beforehand, would really help. With any great event, you would probably have a hashtag. So encouraging attendees to use that hashtag and help them, and help to generate that buzz and excitement for you in the lead up and also at the event itself, and get into conversations with people who are using and taking part in that hashtag. And those conversations is really important as well. So it's not just for a conference organizer, it's not just about you posting out as much as possible about your event, but it's also about ensuring that people who are attending, they're talking about you, encouraging them to talk about you on the socials, clarifying any questions that may come up. If you get those last minute emails of any questions, then that in turn can definitely be turned into great content that you can post onto the socials as well. And incentivizing your attendees and speakers to also talk about your event and create that buzz and excitement with you will really help as well. So hopefully there's a few ideas there that people can learn.
Awesome.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so.
Go ahead,
I
Marissa.
want to
Sorry.
say something because we're talking a little bit about generating buzz and selling tickets, and I think people forget about when your event is happening. They're not necessarily really thinking about the next event or getting tickets sold for the next event. And you're in the event, you're hired to promote the event beforehand, but you're also hired during the event to generate it for the next year or the next quarter. And a lot of people will forget about that. You're not just doing social media for the event, right? And it's like always an afterthought, like, oh, I wish we would have capitalized on the energy of the conference and sold tickets right there and then. And I think that reminds people of why they are at the event and what value they're getting. So I think, we say pre FOMO, we say FOMO. I mean, it's really FOMO at any stage of the event. And that's how
Yeah,
I look.
you've raised a really good point there, Marissa, because the traditional way that people market events is to ramp up the marketing, 3 months in the lead up to the event. And then it's almost like on the day of the event, they sigh of relief and think, oh, thank goodness that's over. And then they'll sleep for 9 months and then ramp it up again. And you don't need to do that. A lot of your marketing can be done on the day of the event. And if you do it well, then you'll sell a lot of tickets on the day if your conference is good enough. So the best time to market next month's event or next quarter or next year's event is at this one. So hiring someone dedicated to create that live FOMO with you on that event will ensure that you've got great content that you can share throughout the year, so that it means that in the lead up to your next event, you don't need to work as hard in order to sell next year's tickets. So live FOMO is the period which is really, really key, as well as the pre-FOMO, which is in the lead up to the event.
Awesome. Bob Cartwright just sent in a really interesting question on LinkedIn. I'll read it out so that people listening to the podcast can hear it as well. What about building the FOMO experience for those who can't attend, but you're wanting to sell them the ticket to live stream that's currently happening? So like converting on day of instead, like to like a day of purchase. That way it doesn't take away from the real quote unquote ticket sales. Any thoughts about trying to increase that opportunity for people that are remote and getting them to tap in last minute?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bob. What I've seen a lot of conference organizers do is to spend a lot of time. Obviously, there's nothing more valuable than being at an in-person event, and certainly, post-pandemic, the in-person events have taken up again. People have really missed that in-person connection, and so a lot of people do spend a lot of time in selling that real-life experience. Now, for people who can't attend the event, they're not seen as an afterthought. They're seen as, the virtual experience. And there'll definitely be things that you can have in your virtual experience, which is different to the in-person experience. And you can sell them, alongside each other. And in fact, I've seen some conferences where you can, convert your in-person ticket into a virtual ticket, if you wanted, in the last minute, if you, for whatever reason, you can't attend. So what's important is to ensure that people are clear in the virtual experience. What are they going to get? And they'll get a different experience. For any great event organizer, it's not just a case of recording the speakers, uploading the talks, and there you go. You still need to have a platform for people to network virtually. You still need to have someone who is a host that can ensure that there is a crossover between each virtual experience. And so selling the virtual experience, which is different to the in-person experience, I think that is permissible, and it's absolutely permissible for you to do that. But just make sure that people are clear in what is the difference between the virtual one compared to the in-person one. But making sure that the in-person one is probably the one that you really want people to attend, because there's nothing more valuable than getting the testimonials from people from in person. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you, Bob. Well, if we are definitely over our time, we obviously can talk about FOMO a lot. We try to keep it short and sweet because, we know all of event professionals are busy and everyone's, working on that. So how do we connect with you and get more info?
Well, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. So it's Making Sang. That's MAYKINGTSANG. Or have a look on my website, FOMOcreator.social. And you can find me on all the socials as FOMO Creator.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you, Making. Well, this is the end of our episode. And you can find all full episodes on rizpod.live. Thank you for joining us. Jon, any final words?
Just I'm wondering if Making was wanting to use me. She says lurker a lot. Could she be the lurker unlocker, the unlurker? I don't know. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
the idea. She said I heard another podcast where 96% of people are just lurking, and to be able to
Yes.
capture them is awesome. So Making the
Yeah.
lurker unlocker.
I love that. Yes. All right. Thank you, John. I loved hanging out with you and talking about this topic, and we'll see you guys next time
Till next
on
time.
another
Bye, guys.
episode. Bye.
Thanks for watching Resilient Events, where co-hosts Marisa and Jon provide overwhelmed entrepreneurs with a comprehensive strategy for using podcasts, live streams, and events to establish expertise in any industry. With real-life examples and events expertise, they'll help you finish planning and start doing. Visit rizpod.live for show extras and freebies.
Cool.